Back in the days before computers, if you wanted to do something creative, you needed to spend a decent bit of money. If you wanted to make a movie, you needed to rent film equipment. If you wanted to record a song, you needed studio time. Even if you wanted to be an artist, you still needed to buy fucking paints and canvas and shit. Even after creating something, trying to get it out there was near impossible without connections, a decent body of work, and of course, more money. But ever since entering the digital age, we have acquired many tools that we can use at our own disposal for a cheap price. If you want to make a movie, you can just shoot and edit it on your cell phone. If you wanted to record a song, you could just use a program like Fruity Loop Studio or GarageBand, set up a cheap microphone, and go to town. If you want to make some art, then there are a bazillion programs like Photoshop and Animate that you can use, providing you can't afford paper. I'm not saying that we've made film equipment, recording studios, or acrylic paint obsolete, but it's a lot easier to get started with the tools that we have around us. You can even make your own website to host your work, or you can use one of the many social media platforms designed around posting your art. It's truly an amazing time to be an artist. But now that anyone is able to send their art out to the world, we have somewhat transcended beyond the disingenuous PR days of the past, allowing creators with varying backgrounds, personalities, and opinions to form fan bases and create content. However, this has made way to a realm where anyone can create whatever they want and show it to everybody. If, say, someone wanted to advertise their staple-bound comic book series about three homophobic yet homosexual fraternity brothers, well, as long as they have pencil, papers, and a computer to use, the world is their oyster after all. Today we're going to be talking about a certain artist who did just that. An artist with an extensive body of work, a rigorous marketing strategy, and a combative attitude. A man who some call an entertainer, others call a troll, and a situation that is not only fascinating, but utterly confusing. This is the Nicolas Comics situation. I was stumbling through Reddit one day when I found a post on the Out of the Loop subreddit. It was titled, "Who is Nicolas and what is up with his alt accounts?" Their post led to a megathread on the subreddit r/ban Nicolas Sequeira. The megathread named over 50 alt accounts, all owned by a man named Nicolas Sequeira. Most of the usernames are variations of his comic book company, Nicolas Comics. Some of them are completely random, but I did find two quite noteworthy. Nexpo Fan and -9, Mother 9, Horse 9, Eyes 9. Both references to content created around ARGs and internet mysteries. The only other information we're given about him in the original Out of the Loop post is that Nicolas Sequeira is a cartoonist that uses these alternate accounts to post advertisements based around his comic books. There are several comments in the original post and the megathread of people telling stories of their interactions with Nicolas, usually leading to harassment, with some people even going to the lengths of deleting their Reddit accounts. This harassment stems from people's criticism of Nicolas's marketing tactics, consisting of posting several times a day to unrelated subreddits with the purpose of advertising his website and his comic series. Most of his advertisements go unnoticed, and those who do notice are usually members of r/ban Nicolas Sequeira. A few of these users had come from the subreddit r/the mysterious song, a subreddit which investigates the origins of the most mysterious song on the internet. Nicolas claims to be the creator of this song, using it as a platform to further advertise his comic series College Buddies. These users, tired of Nicolas's relentless advertising and insensitive views towards topics such as trans rights, decided to form the subreddit with the intention of getting Nicolas shadowbanned from the website and combating his various alternate accounts. Their efforts have gotten Nicolas banned several times and have apparently garnered the attention of Reddit's moderators, but to date the investigation has yielded no results. The subreddit and its Discord channel of the same name contain screenshots displaying messages between Nick and the members of the subreddit. Most of them include the OP telling Nick to leave them alone, with Nick defending himself. On the Discord, they ridicule his messages and advertisements. Sometimes Nick himself will join and attempt to engage in discussion, but after a short argument, he is promptly banned. The main purpose of r/ban Nicolas Sequeira is to document Nick's harassment, find his alternate accounts and try to get them banned, and criticize his personal views. The most vocal critics of Nicolas are the moderators u/karmaisdopamine and u/removed from society. I asked the subreddit about any information they could give me about Nick's harassment, and Removed from Society had this to say. He has messaged us for 6 months or more. For that reason, most of us here are alts, because Nick wouldn't stop messaging us for a long time. The only way to get away from him was to delete our previous accounts, so we no longer had access to that stuff. Also, reporting his PMs made them vanish. All of his previous accounts are deleted, so it's not easy to find his older comments. Many times the admins don't just ban him, they site-wide nuke his comments completely so there's no way to recover them. And, if anything, his activity has gotten worse in the last year, well before we started this sub. And here he follows his standard MO. He posts on our sub every time he gets a new account, and he sends insults through the mod mail. He attacks and harasses us, and then he lies and whines about us in his comments as if he's the injured party. He thinks we're the sole reason his comments get removed, and claims that we tell the mods what to do. How delusional is that? Now, we know there's a guy named Nicolas going around Reddit, aggressively marketing his comic books. But what are his comic books like? If you don't have any money you're willing to send away through the mail, you can always visit his website where he shares samples of his work. The website is designed like a poorly made HTML site from the early 2000s, complete with awkward text and cheesy GIFs. The site has samples of his comics, including The Maggots, which are a parody of the Beatles, Fatso the Feline, which is a parody of Garfield, and his magnum opus, College Buddies. One thing that becomes apparent is the poor design of these comic books. The style is reminiscent of the Zooey Mama comics from Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Treehouse Comics Inc. from Captain Underpants. The comics are drawn with pencil and scanned through a computer. The detail rivals that of a small child. The writing is humorous and satirical, but poorly displayed and sometimes hard to understand. Nick's website also includes several games that he had created, including a storybook adventure called Scary Zombie Game and a satirical simulator called Space Flyer. As well are short animations made by Nicolas, an excerpt of his first novel Nightlife, a wall of Ben Shapiro's, and an entire section dedicated to images of Nicolas Cage praising Nicolas comics. At the bottom of the website are several reviews of Nicolas's work. All of them are anonymous. I'll read off a few I found rather constructive. Unfortunately, Nick, I don't think you're old enough, mature enough, or knowledgeable enough to understand what you're satirizing, much less how to satirize it. You lack perspective. My advice? Keep pursuing your passion, but consistently strive to be better and to have a deeper understanding of what you write about, rather than the shallow understanding you currently possess. This is terrible, disturbing, sad. Too many adjectives apply, so I'll stop with those for now. The cartoonist has a very long way to go before he should even think of trying to sell his work. The writing is indecipherable. Nobody wants comics that can't be read easily or at all. The art is abysmal. I'm a retired journalist, but I'm also a former professional artist who also taught drawing. This person needs lessons. I don't see obvious natural talent, and if it's there, it's masked by the so-called style. They're supposed to be college buddies, and they speak like they've never heard of grammar. Right. Nobody's that bad. Sorry. That's a story. It's more like a no-homo joke. He needs to spend time studying comic structure, storytelling, etc. before he'll even stand a chance of success in this medium. You have to realize that just because you produce a product doesn't mean it's worth something. You may have spent time and effort on it, but that does not mean others will pay for it. Your style is quite crude and childish, as if it were drawn by a 5-year-old child. If you're serious about trying to make a living or just make some extra cash from this, I would suggest spending some more time focusing on improving the quality of comics to be more appealing to a potential customer. At the very end of the website, in incredibly small text, is a link to a Google document which appears to be a short collection of ramblings by Nicolas made between July 8th and 16th of 2019. The entries are self-admitted homages to the Diary of Bill Wirt's website, except these ones are much more introspective, with Nicolas ranting about his day and talking about music and films. His comics and games are horrendous, yet they contain a certain charm to them in the same vein as Tail Gets Trolled or Sonichu. It's obvious that these are poorly drawn on purpose, but just because he knows they're poorly drawn does not take away from the fact that they are still poorly drawn. Some enjoy the charm brought on by this particular style, but most won't even give it a chance. Nicolas's work is prolific, and he has a lot of faith in its success. But with a combative attitude and a community that is actively trying to silence you, it begs the question, what kind of a man would post his home address openly online in an attempt to market a homemade series of comic books? This is because Nicolas is not an ordinary man. Nicolas is not a man at all. Nicolas is a 17-year-old boy. Nicolas's website is not the only place where he goes to showcase his content. He also has a YouTube channel. His videos range a variety of topics, from discussing film and television to creating music videos and advertisements for college buddies.
I'd like you to meet 3 college kids. They aren't exactly the best people in the world, but they're very fine guys nonetheless, and I'd just like to introduce them to you. Yo, it's Yo, Rap Dogs, the college buddies. Can you beat me at the Rap Dog, Bob Snob? Hi, I can beat you, or my next copy is on me, Bob. This is a frat.
His YouTube channel also hosts his first feature film, Vice. The film was made on a budget of $2.50. The 2-hour-long film is Nicolas using 5 color photographs of various politicians and characters, doing the voices for each photograph himself. He claims that he was inspired to make the film after watching the trailer for Vice, and saw the scene where George Bush and Dick Cheney are sitting outside, and Bush is eating chicken. The film is 100% improvised.
Hey, Dick, what's that you're saying? Oh, haha, quack, quack. I don't, never mind. Anywho, this is the fun movie about the presidential pals. Have fun, here goes.
His second film, Breakthrough, is what Nicolas describes as a very dramatic Christian movie. The film is also 2 hours long, where Nicolas plays every character, leaving captions to remind the audience who he is portraying at that given moment.
Hope you enjoy this movie. Your time with Timmy, certainly really groovy. And God's not dead, he's surely alive. God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside, living on the inside, living on the inside. He's living on the inside.
Most of Nick's videos are unedited, and usually consist of him talking directly to the camera. When they are edited, they are done with about as much quality as you would expect after seeing his comics.
Nobody buys college buddies. How about you buy college buddies? Please buy the comics for good. Comics, just buy them. Buy the comics, please. It's time to buy some comics. Buy some comics. Buy the comics. Thanks a whole bunch. I just want some cash in the mail.
Nicolas is a very interesting person. Despite the quality of his comics, he appears to be quite intelligent for his age, and he appears to have a certain degree of self-awareness in the quality of his work, where he blends cringe humor with postmodern meme culture in such a way that he has inadvertently created a gonzo display of a person who lives through their content. It's hard to tell whether or not this is all just a joke to him, or if he actually takes his work seriously. From the people I have asked, they all have said that this is not a joke to him. He genuinely believes in the caliber of his content and the attention that it should be receiving. This has led to 3 popular theories as to the nature of Nicolas Sequeira. 1. Nicolas is suffering from some sort of mental illness. Apparently Nicolas has claimed before that he is autistic, but many believe that this is not the only mental illness that he suffers from. 2. Nicolas is a troll who is just using his comics and his aggressive marketing methods as a way to get a rise out of people. 3. Nicolas takes this all very seriously and is using his content to create a piece of interactive fiction in the style of an ARG. While doing research for this video, I managed to get an interview with Nicolas Sequeira himself. I asked him many questions, and I will now share the answers I find most relevant to the discussion of this video. What is Nicolas Comics? Nicolas Comics is my comic company. I sell the comics through mail order, but there are also other divisions, Nicolas Films and Nicolas Games for instance, but Nicolas Comics is the main one. There are currently 29 titles in the Nicolas Comics catalog, but that doesn't even count the roughly 1,000 pages that aren't in my catalog. You're right, sir. I'm very prolific. I've got 2,000 or so pages of content. How long have you been making content on the internet? I've been making content on the internet for roughly 2 years or so. I've been drawing content since about 2010. My first Reddit account is I Am Not the, which is defunct but visible. My first video on YouTube was posted in July 2017. That's as far back as I can trace it. What is your relationship with Removed from Society and Karma is Dopamine? I have no idea who they are. They claim that I've harassed them in the past, but they're alts, so I have no idea what I did that offended them so much. Most of the accounts there are alts who want to remain anonymous. They're cowards who want to avoid responsibility, and they won't tell me how I wronged them, so I have no reason to listen to their complaints. Some people have even deleted their accounts, and this paranoia stems from the rumor that I'm a lunatic, which is the most phony crap. Any evaluation of my content will show that I'm 100% mentally stable. One troll even said I sit outside and talk to myself all day, like I'm Jeffrey Dahmer or something. A popular theory of your work is that you suffer from mental illness and are using this work to garner attention towards yourself. What is your opinion on this theory? 100% incorrect. As I said, my content is a little whack, but I know darn well what I'm doing. There's nothing insane about producing art or being an entrepreneur. As for me wanting attention, that's nuts. All I want is to get paid for the over 1,000 pages of art I've produced. Attention would be a nice byproduct, and I certainly consider myself an internet celebrity. But as far as karma or subscribers go, I don't really care how much I have, so long as I get a few orders for my comics. No way am I nuts. Some moron even sent me a list of nearby psychiatrists thinking it was funny or something. If that's not harassment, I don't know what is. Another theory is that you are no more than a troll getting a rise out of people. Also false. I'd never classify myself as a troll. A troll posts irrelevant stuff for the lulz. I post relevant stuff for money. Some say that I try and misdirect people, like I'm a stage magician or something. That's absolutely ludicrous. I always try to be honest and straightforward with my customers, but these trolls are so stupid that they continue to insist that I'm fooling them, or that the comics are fake. The comics are 100% real, and I'm all set to sell them. You appear to be a fan of Alex Bale, Mother Horse Eyes, and Nexpo. A third theory of your work is that Nicolas Comics and the controversy surrounding it is a clever form of internet storytelling. What is your opinion on this theory? This one is a little more interesting. While I wouldn't classify what I do to be a form of internet storytelling, as none of it is an ARG or whatnot, some people do think that this is a character or whatnot, and if you think this is a character, you're wrong. But at least these people who think that this is clever are complimenting me for all the work I've put in. I'm not much of a fan for Mother Horse Eyes or Alex Bale. I mean, Alex Bale isn't the worst or anything, but he does get quite a bit of attention. As he says, he's got 230 videos. My old channel, Videos for People, has over 700, but only like 50 subs. This isn't an internet story or whatnot, but some people consider it that, and to each their own, I suppose. But internet storytelling doesn't make the money, and so, really, it's all about selling the comics and whatnot. So, there you have it. According to the man himself, he's not insane or a troll, but just a guy trying to sell his comics. It's as simple as that. Or is it? You know, in my personal opinion, you have to be at least a little nutty to have such dedication towards projects, and especially to have such a grandiose opinion on its success and artistic merit considering its presentation, PR strategies, and critical reception. Nicolas thinks very highly of himself and has little sympathy for those he deems morons. If you try and criticize him, you will never get through to him, and if you try to get on his bad side, he won't stop trying to get a hold of you. This situation has left me coming out with more questions than I did going in. Sure, despite what he believes, Nicolas is relentless with his advertising, but at the end of the day, he's just a guy trying to sell his comics. I understand the documentation of his harassment, but in all these screenshots you'll notice that the OP will refuse to block or ignore Nicolas, but to engage in the argument and sometimes resort to insults. What I take from all of this, as much as Nicolas or the people wanting to have him banned may disagree, is that Nicolas Sequeira is just a teenager trying to sell what he genuinely thinks is profitable content. He's doing all of this with making money as his main incentive, but considering he's only made $10 last year makes me think he's also enjoying the attention, but doesn't even know it himself. Not only does Nicolas think that quantity makes good content, but his controversy puts him in the limelight. On r/ban Nicolas Sequeira, Nicolas is the star, something that I doubt he gets much outside of his life on the internet. And if he keeps making comics, he can keep advertising to subreddits and keep the people talking. He said it himself. He doesn't care about karma or subscribers. He wants people to pay money or attention to the work that he's created, and it doesn't matter if that attention is bad or that money is pity money. To him, it's all the same. You have to remember that Nicolas is at a very formative part of his life, and that life might not be that great to him outside of the few hours a day he spends online. I'm not trying to justify his behavior, but maybe this is all just an escape to him. Maybe this little war that he has with this group of people is therapeutic to him in a sense. One thing is for certain though, as long as people want Nicolas Sequeira banned, Nicolas Sequeira will always be around. And as long as Nicolas Sequeira is around, people will want him banned. It's amazing what you can create online. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.